Now we are going to see some case studies just related to distributed renewable energy. Okay, so for example, we have 6 different criteria. The first 3 are related to the kind of offer that you want to make. So in the first case, you have complement the DE hardware offer with the lifecycle services. So in this case, for example, you are going to sell the product because you know that there are different kind of sustainable product service system. So you have the product oriented, the result oriented, and the user oriented. So in this case, will be like a product oriented, as they have done in this case of Grameen Shakti. So in this case is in Bangladesh. What they are doing is they are selling solar home system. So usually it's the solar panel plus maybe it's like small appliances, and the people can pay for it in 2-3 years, and then the system is owned by them. The good thing is that they have like support during the whole life of the product in terms of maintenance and operation. And the fact is also this service offered them some financial support, because one of the things that you can say is that okay, you sell your product, but you can maybe give some additional services to help. So in this case, they offer financial services because you know that especially in low-income context, the fact of having like the possibility to purchase something is not so obvious. So in this case, they offer microcredit service. That as you may know about like microcredit is the fact that you don't have to pay like the whole amounts in once, but someone will pay it for you in advance. And in this case, it's usually kind of the villagers. They pay all together for one, and then you can give the money back in some years. So in this way, this is one of the additional services that is helping to have access to energy. Another possible service that you can add to the product that you sell is the fact of having the maintenance and the repairing and upgrading included. So this is the case of V-Box. In this case, they sell the solar home system again, plus this smart solar that they use to monitor the energy expenses they have. And what they provide more is the fact that they give you, they provide maintenance and repair during the whole life of the system. So in this case, you say, okay, I have something, I have my product that is owned by me, but they are providing me like the maintenance and repair for the life. So these were like 2 cases related to the fact that you are selling a product, but then you are add some additional services. In the second case that we see is an offer of the ownerless DE system as enabling platform. So in this case, instead, like the provider is retaining the ownership, but the final customer is using it. So in this case, we have the fact that like the provider, the customer is able to maintain and repair his own DRE system. So this is the case of solar kiosk that is happening in Ethiopia, Kenya, and some other places around Africa. And in this case, we have the provider, which is from Germany, who has designed the solution, which is this kiosk, is kind of a container that can provide different services related to energy, from the refrigerator to it can become like a cinema, or it can offer like some educational services and so on, everything powered by the solar panel that is on the rooftop of the container. So in this case, our customer, we can consider it as the local entrepreneur, because the ownership is retained in Germany, but the entrepreneur who is acting locally has the possibility to change a bit the design of the system according to the local needs, and will be trained to do like basic maintenance things and repair things. So in this case, it's an enabling platform solution. In the case instead that we want to offer our DE system with full services, so this means that we are giving like to the final customer almost everything. We are just giving the unit of satisfaction satisfied. So the need is satisfied. The customer doesn't have to do anything. So in this case, we have the OMC Power. We have the OMC Power from India. And in this case, what they are doing is the provider is retaining the ownership of a plant to produce energy, but is putting it close to the company who is paying them for the energy that is used. So in this case, like the maintenance, the repair, everything is given by the provider. Instead, the customer has just to pay for the energy to be used. But in this case, we are still talking about like the centralized energy, because it's not the bigger plant, but it's a small plant related to a specific company. Another case is instead like the off-grid electric, which is a small way of giving energy. And in this case, is a case that was mentioned already from the professor during the lecture. So in this case, like the provider retain the ownership of the whole solar home system, plus lights and a phone charge. The customer pays a fixed, like a pay-per-period payment, and doesn't own anything, so has just the access to energy. And so in this case, I receive a full service, because I receive the access to energy without anything more to do. Everything is done by the provider. So you can see clearly that the provider is interested that his product lasts long, that doesn't have so much expenses on energy, and so on. Then regarding the fact of optimized stakeholder configuration, we can have different options, because it's important that we consider that we are working on a system level. So we are not just covering one part, one section of our system, but we are covering all the actors that are involved. So for example, in this case, we have this service which is Ask Power, which is a company that provides a solution with biomass power plant. So in this case, people get connected. They have like a final result. So they are connected to the electricity. What is going on here is the fact that there is a collaboration among different actors related to different kind of distributed economies. So in this case, we have this company which is producing distributed renewable energy, and then we have a collaboration with companies instead that are collecting rice husk to power the plant. So we have a distributed production that collaborates with a distributed renewable energy production. Then we have the fact of the linked payment from the hardware purchases and resource consumption. Because of course, when you are going to design your system, you have also to consider the fact of the payment, because especially in low and middle income context, is really something that matters, we can say, to give the access to energy. So we can have, of course, a lot of different options. So for example, as I told you before, there is this off-grid electric, which is offering the access to energy for a payment done based on period. So this is to facilitate people that maybe they don't have a fixed income. Maybe they can decide to pay like a really small amount every day, every week, every month. This is really customizable, so that this can help people to take part of the access. It's also possible, and they do it, that they ask like for an initial small payment. Then if you don't pay for some months, it is still fine. So they can wait for you for a while to still give you the access. Or, of course, as in other services, there is also the possibility to go for a microcredit and so on. Because in this context especially, there is even the problem of the bank. We are used to say, okay, I have like a problem of money, I can go to a bank, they can give me some money in advance and so on. But in this reality, it's not like that. They don't have this possibility as we have. Then there is also the possibility to pay per time. So in this case, there is this Indigo project that is also based like on a micro production of energy on the rooftop. And in this case, they have like this smart controller. They have the solar panel on the rooftop, and they just buy a scratch card. So they receive a code, they put the code in the smart controller, and they have a specific time of energy they can use. When this time is finished, the solar panel doesn't produce energy anymore. So they have to buy a new scratch card, put the code, and this is reactivated. So in this way, you just pay for the time that you use it. You are not paying for the whole day if you are not interested in it. You can just pay a specific time. Another option of payment is the fact of the pay-per-use. So there is this solar power cafe that is in South Africa. And in this case, it's kind of, you just go there. For example, you use like half an hour of internet, or you just send one email, or you do a fax, you do something. So it's just like per once. Per single use, you just pay that. So you receive your whole service, but you don't have to own anything. You don't have to pay a membership fee, anything. You just pay for the one time that you use it. So in this case, also like in this context in which access is not every time the same, you can have people that access one maybe. But it's also true that this could be even reported to other contexts, like also for us. Maybe I can buy a drill to do some work at home, but maybe I just use it once in my life. So maybe if I just can pay for the day that I need to use it, maybe this could facilitate me. And not everyone has to buy the product, but we can just share it. Then there is also the possibility to pay in hybrid mode. So maybe you pay the product, but you pay it less, and then you pay per period every time. Or you can also have some additional financial services. These also happen, maybe like there are institutions that support. Just one thing that you have to consider is that a lot of projects, especially in low and middle income contexts, they start with donors. That several times it seems that is a good thing, but on the other hand, the money of the donor, sooner or later, they will end. So the product, like the system, has to be sustainable itself. It's good maybe for an help to start, but then of course the service has to be self-sustainable. Otherwise, sooner or later it will close. Then the last guideline is about optimize the DE structure. So that was the fact that I was telling before, that there are several configurations that we can have for a system, for a DRE system. But the important thing is that you consider the context in which you are going to put the solution, because there is not just one configuration that is better for another instead of another one, but is better instead of another one considering the context. For example, we have this domestic biogas case, and in this way you see they have this biogas producer, and they have it as a standalone system. So this means that each house has his own and is not connected to anyone else. This is because in this village they are quite far from each other. So to connect them could make like high transmission losses. So to avoid this, they make it for each house. Other possibility could be that you have a lot of small producers that are connected each other. Other possibility could be like decentralized stations. So in this case, we have this solar transition. They have a village, and in this village they have a lot of houses, but they decide not to have like energy for each of them. They just decide to make one station of energy production. They have like a park of solar panels. With them, they produce energy for the community, and then there they offer in this place a series of services. They offer printing services. They offer video conferencing spaces. They offer this solar lamp that can be rented by people and so on. So in this case, it's a decentralized production spot. Or we can also have a decentralized production, but it is connected. So in this case, we have this shared solar case. So in this case, we have one only place of production that is owned by the village community. And then all houses of the community are connected. So each of them, they can use the energy according to their business or their personal daily life activity. And finally, there is also the possibility to be connected to the main grid. Because also the fact is that, for example, if you are, as I told you before, in a big city, maybe you already have the main grid. So why to go out from that? You can use the same main grid and you can still produce energy using that for sharing the energy. So these were just kind of examples that you will find again, these plus all the others related to distributed economy, you will find when you do the exercise. This will be important so that they can give you some inspiration, because when you are asked to design, so that you can say, okay, maybe I can add a financial service to my system, maybe I can add a service of sharing of something, maybe I can include even this actor. Okay, and we will see together this about like when you are going to use the tool, you will see that all these things are required from you, because these things all together, they will make the configuration of your system.